Nisekoi was Shaft's latest romantic comedy show which they animated, and a lot of people really enjoyed it, from the best girl fights of Team Chikoge versus Team Toradora to the rising question of the Shimbo monopoly. But either way, to those who enjoyed it, there's some amazing shows which are on par or, in my opinion, even better, which I highly recommend. Starting off with a more recent show of this year, Engage the Unidentified, or the text right down there. One of the main reasons why these shows are so similar is the fact that in Nisekoi, Raku and Chitoge are forced together as a couple due to the rivalry between the mafia groups. And in Engage the Unidentified, Kobani and Hakia are put together from an arranged marriage. Now firstly, the two lead males, unlike the other shows I'll be recommending, are not that similar really, but they do care for the people around them. The roles are almost reversed in the fact that our main girl Kobeni, who has forgotten about the past, rather than Raku, who forgot about the past in Nisekoi. Now, as similar as these shows are, the main difference it lacks is any sort of love triangle. Engage the Unidentified does have other girls in it, but it's not harem-like at all like Nisekoi is. It's a lot more focused on the relation building of the one couple, rather than Raku and his whores. Haganai is the more ecchi show I'm recommending. It's of course a harem, romance and comedy, but definitely more comedy focused than romance like Nisekoi is. Like many other shows, we have our lead male and two main girls with the extra harem as well. Haganai's slightly large cast also means we have a lot more range in the characters, which in my opinion is a good thing. It is a lot less story based, as our overarching story is just that of our main characters being in the Neighbours Club, a club made for people with no friends. Haganai also has a second season which aired last year, and with its popularity, it wouldn't be surprising to see more. Clannad's first season follows a similar aspect of Nisekoi, where our main character has multiple girls to choose from, and we watch as he builds these relationships with each girl. The comedy in Clannad isn't as prevalent as it is in Nisekoi, but it does still exist, with Tsunehara as our main form of comic relief. Now in Clannad, the stories for each girl are a lot more divided into separate arcs compared to Nisekoi, which has a lot more crossover with each girl. That doesn't mean the overarching story isn't as interwoven though. We have some similar archetypes of tsundere and of the Moa characters too. But if this reason isn't enough to watch Clannad, the other is how it leads onto its sequel after story, which is very unlike Nisekoi, as it is much more of a romantic drama than romantic comedy, but it's a must watch for everybody. At number 2 is Bakemonogatari and its following sequels. The most notable similarity is of course the art style, done by Shimbo and Shaft, and thus follows many similarities in terms of the bright colours and the head tilting. But they're also very similar in the fact that they're harem-like, with Aragi and Raku being very similar and surrounded by several girls. One of the main differences in Bakemonogatari is that it's a lot more dialogue focused, and it's centered around the characters' interactions, instead of this more comedy relationship building in Nisekoi. It also has a supernatural theme to it, whereas Nisekoi is just more down to earth. But really the most similar aspect is the art and this unique animation, which Nisekoi and Bakemonogatari both share. And the most similar anime I would recommend is Toradora. The shows are vastly similar in many aspects. They both have a good mix of comedy and romance and are both set in high school with conflicting love interests. The main similarity in my opinion though is that of the characters. The tsundere similarities between Chitoge and Taiga are blonde-haired bitches, and yet with Taiga's violence going a step higher. Odora and Miori's similarities derive from their idolization from our main character, where Raku secretly likes Odora, and the same goes for Ryuji and Miori. Our third character, who is a smaller interest but still relevant, also exists in the form in Nisekoi as Tanabachi, and in Toradora we have Ami, who are both similar due to their dual personality disorder, where they change their persona to please others. I could even pull some strings and relate Maiko to Maru due to them both fulfilling the best friend role and wearing glasses, but in the case of Toradora, Maru has a lot more presence due to his potential love interest. Now, I'm not the biggest Toradora fan, but I definitely like it as a romantic comedy. It does have a bit more drama than in Nisekoi, which is better for some and not so much for others. But one of the main appeal is the funny relationship between Ryuji and Taiga, which many also love between Raku and Chitoge in Nisekoi. With Nisekoi's arranged marriage and in Toradora the pact of Tiger and Dragon, they're also very similar in that respect. Toradora is also finished with a closed ending compared to what Nisekoi finished with, which is a still ongoing idea, which it could be a while until we actually see the end of it. So yes, Toradora is definitely a watch for fans of the romantic romantic comedy genre, and especially if you enjoyed Nisekoi. Anyway, I hope if you're a fan of Nisekoi, you found some shows here which might have piqued your interest, and if you were slightly disappointed by Nisekoi, maybe due to the shaftiness of it all, some shows here might be better for you.